and it's their intrinsic
And then, this food basically robs.
sound feasible, sound like really it was a trap, the whole time. Now, if you remember the video Express Yourself, how they showed the the slave master on the horse on the plantation, basically harassing the slaves, and then it shows, that time when cops are on police horses harassing black people in the black community. So it was kind of trying to show this whole comparison between slavery and today and how nothing has changed. And that, again, was fueling people even more to say, you know what, this hip hop is real, it's telling the truth, it's telling our story. And they got people, for the first time on a huge scale, because now you had this song on MTV, and black people was watching it all over America and everywhere else. And when they seen images like that, it got black people more on board with accepting this gangster rap. And not just that, it was something in us that wanted to say, okay, this is a shot back at you. We're talking about the truth and we're telling the truth. And we thought that we was actually, using this music as a weapon to tell our story, not realizing that, wait a minute, the platform in which we are using, we don't own, they own. So how can we be trying to tell the white man about their problems or what they're doing to us? And we're using their platform, we're using their tools, we're using their stuff to put out our message, not thinking that this could possibly be a trap. And a lot of people didn't realize that. A lot of people fell into the whole perception that Eazy-E, black people actually could put out this music when it really wasn't us. So when you listen to NWA, you listen to the music from that time, it's almost like NWA foreshadow, like they predicted the LA riots, like they predicted, they were saying that, this stuff happens, police brutality, and they beat people, and this and that, this is what goes on. And then Rodney King gets beaten. It's like they foreshadowed it, like they knew it was going to happen or something. So you have NWA talking about this, saying fuck the police, all this stuff, putting out music videos and songs that talk about police brutality and this and that. Rodney King gets beaten. Now, it already was tension, between the cops and black people just because of the way things was. It already was tension. The music came out, created more tension. But then when these cops got acquitted, like we know what happened, it just drove black people over the edge. And then the riots started, the whole LA riot. And a lot of people can't fathom that maybe the Rodney King beating was a setup, that the whole thing was planned. If not the beating itself, then what took place after was planned. A lot of people can't fathom that until you really go back and you start to examine the whole thing. When you look at the story, it's weird that his name is Rodney King, last name King, something that black people can relate to, that last name, thinking about Dr. King, Dr. Martin Luther King. And it's something that black people could just, it'll stimulate something in us to say, wait a minute, what's going on? They beating up a black man named King, and we tired of police brutality. And then black people can say, see, we told you, the music was talking about it. We told y'all this is how it is, and then a riot started. And, it's a lot of craziness that came from that I'm gonna get into a little bit later, because a lot of people don't think about how that really destroyed our image and aided to, this whole attack against the black community. But when you look at back then, you can see how the media, just like today, was instigating black versus white, talking about, drug dealing. It was like towards the end of, it was like Bush's last year, the whole LA riots and the whole war on drugs thing was still going on. It was, cops still were showing black people, in the hood, and cops arresting them. And, that whole TV show was also destroying our image. There was so much going on around that time that led up to, the whole LA riots. And when you look at today and how all this stuff is going on with the shootings and killings of black people, you can't help to think that maybe they was trying to, start something again with riots and, with Trayvon Martin, the whole verdict, it was like the OJ, not OJ, but the whole Rodney King case all over again when, how could this dude get off? Jordan Zimmerman, and then how can all these cops who killing people keep getting off and keep getting, suspended with pay? And it was like they was trying to fuel us to do something, like the whole, LA riots, but, we march and people, for the most part, peacefully protest until Ferguson got a little out of hand. But when you dig into that, you could see that that was a setup as well. This really, it was something that Dick Gregory said that made me really look at this whole thing differently. Dick Gregory was talking about, he did an interview, and Dick Gregory pointed out the fact that about 18,000 people got arrested during the whole LA riots. 18,000 people, over 18,000 people. And then they could only account for 8,000 later on. Like over 10,000 people just disappeared. They couldn't account for them. They didn't know what happened to them. And it's something that he was saying, he pointed out that it was organ stealing, that the whole Rodney King thing and the whole riots was so they can arrest people and steal organs. Now, you have to think that, 10,000 people missing, that's a lot of missing persons reports. That would be a lot of, conscious black people out there in front of the news media, at the police station saying, yo, we got all these black people who missing people. Something is up. How could these cops, take 10,000 people and, nobody say nothing? So I don't think it was like regular people. If it was people getting taken and having their organs stolen, it couldn't have been regular black people. But you have to also look at what else was going on around that time. Now, another thing that was going on around that time was the whole debate, the whole issue with Skid Row. Now, if anybody who knows about Skid Row, which a lot of cities unfortunately have a Skid Row. Skid Row is basically a part in downtown Los Angeles where it's basically full of homeless people. It's full of drug addicts and people with alcohol problems and people with addictions, people who are homeless. Skid Row is full of these people. Now, they have been trying to get rid of these people for a long time. It was, leading to a climax right before the LA riots. I mean, they had an issue to where they was trying to put toilets out there, like the portable toilets, and they didn't want to do that. Skid Row is something that is still to this day, debated, and people talk about it, and they try to help these people in some ways, but you have to look at the whole thing. And this is something that I seen when I was watching a documentary on Skid Row. They use the riots to get rid of a bunch of those homeless people. Now, whether or not they was taking their organs, I don't know, but they got rid of a shitload of homeless people during that time. And if you ever look at the documentary on Skid Row, it's a couple of them, some of the homeless people talked about how a lot of people disappeared during the riots. And I took it as like, after the riots or whatever, I took it as something like maybe they got their life together and left. But, when I analyze it more, I see that, because this was a minute ago, I watched it, I see that maybe that's what happened. Possibly they came down there and they racked up a bunch of homeless people and did or took them who knows where. But the simple fact that they put on record that you had over 18,000 people get arrested, so they had to have some record that it was that number. And then the next day, poof. So when you really pay attention to that whole riots, to everything that happened, you can see that it's like they knew. It's like they prepared for it. They knew this was going to happen. They knew it was going to be some kind of riots. And it's something that this news anchor pointed out on the news. Take a listen.
They obviously have thought about this. They anticipated this, they meaning the LAPD. They obviously have plans to deal with it. And as we said before, they've allocated $1 million to overtime in case things like this happen. So they are obviously carrying out a thought out plan.
So now understand, after, gangster rap, these riots, not to mention, as I said, the TV show Cops destroying our image with every single episode. After this, we basically gave, white America, we gave the media the power to say anything about us. We gave them the power to change the way we was perceived, and to, have validity behind it. Now, instead of us, as I said, using hip hop as this platform to tell the truth, instead of us saying, in our lyrics that, this is what takes place in the Black community, we're not proud of it. You got people here living in poverty, doing what they got to do to survive. You got the cops coming in here harassing us, and police brutality left and right. You got women selling themselves for drugs. You got women with children leaving their kids in the house, for hours so they can go out and score some drugs. I mean, instead of us really painting the problem, we glorified it. We didn't say that, you got Black people who are basically trapped in their own communities and they don't have the funding, they don't have the money to get out. They don't have a way out. And it's not like we can call the cops or, try to say anything to stop the violence or stop the drugs, because if you call the cops to say something, you label it as a snitch and you probably end up getting killed for that. So you got people who scared to walk down their own block, who trapped in their own house, their own neighborhood. And this is the problem that the drugs, and the violence and the gangs and everything was bringing to the community. Instead of us conveying this as a way of saying, help, y'all got to fix this, something is wrong, these people need help, you can't keep locking these people up, and there's no real rehabilitation. There's no programs when they come out worse than when they went in. You go to prison with an addiction and you come out, you'll have nowhere to go, you have nothing to do. It's the same thing if you were selling drugs. You come out worse off than you went in if there's no program for you when you come out, if there's no real rehabilitation. You come out needing to do exactly what you did to get in, to survive. And this is what's taking place. And this is how we should have conveyed it. Not only would it tell our story in truth, but it would get Black people to look at everything totally different, not glorify it as something that we enjoy. So we basically gave them the power to basically talk down to us, to talk down about us, to look at us completely different. Up until that point, a lot of people had no clue really what goes on in the Black community. Cops basically showed you people who probably had mental illness, or people who was, drug addicted, or had, drug problems or drinking problems, and the people who were selling drugs, but they didn't really get into, the rest of the community and, what we was doing, and did we really agree with all this stuff. Hip hop basically said that we did, instead of us, basically saying, this is wrong, us putting our head down in shame, saying, yes, we don't agree with Blacks killing Blacks, and, girls selling drugs and selling their body and leaving their kids in the house, and, people getting robbed and having to worry about walking down the street in your own block and catching a bullet that's meant for somebody else. Instead of us holding our head down and said, we are ashamed of this. This is not what we are. This is not what we are about. Instead of us doing this, we threw our hands in the air. And all those people who hate this stuff, and all those people who really don't want to live in the Black community, be surrounded by this whole drug problem, they basically said a resounding, we love it. This is who we are. We don't have an issue with it. This is what we said when we accepted this gangster rap. We made it cool. This stuff is cool. We okay with it. This is how we want to live. And that's the way they took it. And then you had them send their news cameras right into the neighborhoods, put all this stuff on TV, all over the news, how the Black community is messed up, how we selling drugs to each other, how we destroying our kids' mind, how we killing each other, how we doing the despicable things to each other. They came in and they pointed their cameras and said, see, I told you these niggers are the problem. These niggers are crazy. I told y'all you shouldn't have let them free. Made the KKK come out and say, see, even the KKK, if you remember, came out and was protesting music saying, I told y'all these niggas is crazy. So they all came out, and then it's like, what can we say after that? After the riots, after the music and promoting it. They can say anything. And this is what basically created the whole stereotype, about Black people being lazy, us not wanting to do anything but sell drugs and destroy our community. This is what created that stereotype back then, after these riots, after this music. And like I said, you gotta realize that these white people listen to hip hop. They know what the music say. So when we out there marching, talk about some Black Lives Matter, they like, man, get that shit out of here. Y'all bullshitting. Because you can't believe that and then go and promote this music. They calling us on our shit and we ain't realizing it because a lot of you think that it's just music. I mean, you got to be real with yourselves. I mean, it's like a joke to them that we can be out there marching and talking about Black Lives Matter when we listen to songs that glorify killing black people. So it's okay when another black person kill a black person, but when a white cop do it, oh, it's an issue. White person do it, it's a problem. So how can Black Lives Matter if that's the case? So we got to realize when this stuff happens, when we glorify the music, we are telling them that we are cool with it. We are okay with what goes on in the black community. And this is why nothing changes. So we live this whole hip hop lifestyle. We live in this hip hop culture. And we got to understand how we promote, gangster rap and the violence and everything. You got to realize that they can see all this stuff. Just like how you go to your Facebook page and you can see all the little memes and videos that we share with, girls twerking and all the hood fights. And I mean, all the DVDs that was put out on the hood fights and what goes on in the black community, they watch this stuff. They can see this stuff. So just like it comes down, on our Facebook page, on their Facebook page, they see the same videos we are seeing. They know what we glorify. They know about worldstarhiphop.com and the kind of videos we put out. They seeing the same stuff. So as I said, how can we try to be taken seriously as a people when we joke about what's destroying us? We find entertainment in our own destruction. And that's something I always say, how lost we must be that we find entertainment in our own destruction. We glorify our own destruction. What other race does that? So yes, we may internally know what's going on. We may look at it and say, well, you don't understand the black community, or you don't live here, you don't know what's going on. But then we don't show them that it's something else. We show them that we are glorifying the problem. And that's the thing. They, a white person don't know what goes on in the hood, so they can't look at it and see the issue. So what are they seeing? They seeing World Star. They seeing hood fights. They seeing what you put on Facebook timeline. So this is their whole image that they are getting of the black community, and it's creating this stereotype, and it's creating this separation, and it's giving people a valid argument against us. So I've argued with a lot of white people, as I said in the last video. Their arguments are the same. They all come at the black community. They come at how we glorify our destruction, and we sit back and just say, well, you don't understand. But in reality, they are right. And that's something we got to realize, that nothing is going to change until the culture change. And what's controlling the culture is hip hop. So unless you are willing to change it or to do away with it, nothing is going to change. And that's something you got to understand. It's not going to get fixed. I don't care how much we march, how much you pray, how much you want to move out, because that's what everybody's saying. I want to move out the hood. I got to move. In the meantime, you're there. So you got to change it. It's not going to happen until the music change, until the culture change. And then once that change, then, we'll change. So as I said, for the people who don't believe, that hip hop has shaped our culture, is driving our culture, you just got to look at the culture itself, look at the people. I mean, when we started out already on the wrong foot. I mean, using negative words to, basically put towards positive things, like saying something is stupid or dope. Why would you want to call something good stupid? Why would you want to call something good dope? You know what I'm saying? So we started out like that, and then, look how it progressed to us calling each other niggas. Nigga, 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 nigga. We flipped it and said, oh no, that's not what nigga mean. We're not saying nigger, we're saying nigga. But, in their mind, they don't care. You're calling each other nigger, that's exactly what they wanted. And if you don't think it's really affecting us or causing the culture to be what it is, I mean, just look at Mexicans, look at Puerto Ricans, they say it. They grew up in our culture as well. They say nigga, nigga. They live in the hip hop culture like we do. Everybody does when you really pay attention. Look at the car commercials. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention to, a lot of these commercials have hip hop things. A lot of the TV shows that you watch wouldn't be what they are without hip hop culture. You got white people using our words, getting laughs out of it because of our culture. So when you look at, Puerto Ricans calling each other niggas, hey, my nigga, my nigga. Mexicans calling each other niggas, what's up, nigga? You get what I'm saying? You see how it changed. Even white boys say it, who want to be down, calling each other niggas because of the culture. Back then, 80s, 90s, you couldn't call a black woman a bitch. It's a fight, it's a big argument. I mean, today you get some sisters who will get at you, you call them bitch, but for the most part, they call each other bitches, back and forth. That's my bitch. Yeah, bitch. What's up, bitch? And you know, you probably one of the people who do it, but to you, it's not nothing, it's not a problem. It's how I relate to my friend. But to them, it's success. It's their goal. It's their agenda fulfilled, what they wanted to happen. What Miss C. Dolores Tucker was trying to keep from happening has happened. She didn't want y'all calling each other derogatory names. And she tried to warn us about it, but we didn't listen. So now you got to pay attention to hip hop today and see how it's been flipped and understand what has taken place. Because a lot of y'all are not going to realize what's going on or see what is taking place, because it's taking place slowly. Look at how white people are infiltrating the whole hip hop culture and sort of taking it over. I mean, I can't turn on, I can't go log into Facebook or look at Facebook without seeing these groups. How many white hip hop dance groups have you seen? How many white dance groups have you seen dancing to Beyonce and dancing to hip hop music? They out there killing it to hip hop music and making money doing it. I mean, they got crazy dance routines that you see from these, white dance groups, dancing hip hop. You see them in their regular day, you would never know they know anything about hip hop, but they taking over slowly. You got artists like Macklemore coming into the game, white dude, getting Grammys. You got white people getting signed into hip hop as, white artists, taking away record deals from black people. It's the same thing on the R&B and soul side, the pop side. We rule pop music. We rule R&B, but you got these white artists coming in, slowly taking over. So now they can come into the music industry and put out their hip hop content and put out their stuff and say it's hip hop, say it's rap, but it's going to be looked at totally different from when we do it. When they do it, they're going to look at it as, oh, this is good hip hop. This is okay hip hop, what hip hop should be. But if we do it, they're going to say, oh, this is gangster rap. This is negative music. Look at just the content of the music today. I mean, you got another thing, you got white girls twerking, making money off of twerking, putting out, how to twerk videos, all these twerk things that's coming up that I keep seeing with white people doing it, twerk aerobics, all kinds of stuff that they making money off from hip hop. But when a black girl do it, it's looked down at like she's a whore. Because you got black girls who go set the camera up and twerk, put it on Facebook just for a like, for a damn comment, making no money at all. But then you got these white girls, some Latino girls too, who making money